Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So today we're going to be looking at how to create some benches. Benches that can be easy for customers to pick up and take home from craft fairs or from local stores or from your shop. These benches will be easy to assemble once done and disassemble, obviously, once they are completed. So this way the customer can fit them in a car, take them home, and they can put them back together just as easy. So today we're going to be carving those out of this big log, and if you guys want to learn how to do that, be sure to stick around. Well guys, like I said, we're going to be carving out of this log. This is 28 inches across and it's 3 feet long. Now it is pretty big, alright? So the other part of this video is we're going to be able to make three benches out of this log. We'll also need some planks or boards that you're going to use for your seat and your backrest, but we'll be able to cut three side pieces for the bench out of this, as long as all the cuts go well. We'll, you kind of got to play it by ear and see what happens. So first thing we got to do is split the log down the middle lengthwise. If you got a big chainsaw, it's going to be easier for you. If not, you're going to have to make multiple cuts. So I'm going to kick it in high speed, we'll split it, and then we'll get into making the cuts we need. Big log split in half. Now, we'll be able to get two benches out of each half. In this video, I'm only going to make the cuts for two benches. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to cut this so you have what you need for two benches, and then you'll just apply that same process to the other half of your log. Or you can use that other half to make bears. Totally up to you. Now, after making your cut, you want to try to get this side nice and flat. I had some bad cuts here. I didn't get perfectly through, so I'm going to take my saw again and shave this off real quick. And the reason for doing that is we're going to have to draw on here. So give me just a minute, let me clean this up, and we'll get going. Okay, so we got this pretty cleaned up. I mean, there's a little bit here, but we don't need to worry about that right now. What you want to do first is find center. Okay, this one says 28, like I told you, so half 28, 14. I'm going to do the same down here. Go to 14. And just do a rough. Okay, so now I know that's my center. Let's go ahead and measure your height. You need to know how tall it is, which I already know, but yeah. So 3 feet. Half 3 feet is 1.5 feet, so that's 12 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is at 18. So this is the center right here. All right, this is important because we need to figure out now how we're going to make two sets for the bench, right? What you want to be able to do here is basically figure off that center line and come up, okay, for the first line. Now, I've been doing it for a little bit, so I got a general idea, but there's a little bit of equation here and some things to think about when you're doing this. When you look at the top, you guys want to make sure you're going to have enough meat at the top to put the backrest of your seat in. So what I do is kind of measure to my center line. Here's my center line. Okay, measure to that center line and see how far away, let's say, 6 inches is. Okay, so you're looking here and you're measuring in at 6 inches. 6 inches is here. Now you got to figure out how wide those legs are going to be for your bench. Okay, so what we can do is measure the thickness of the half. Now both halves might not be the same, so just do one at a time here. So roughly 12, I'll measure in 6 inches roughly. Give myself a line. Okay, so now you know. If you cut here and angle down that front side, you're only going to have this much material to work with when you go to screw your backrest on for the next piece. There's forethought to this, okay guys? Once you get doing it, it'll make more sense. It's a little easier. So there's not a lot of meat on this side to do that for the backrest. So how can we make this work? Well, let's look at this side. So we're missing some wood here. Maybe on this side we'll have a little more meat to work with. Okay. So we're at 14 inches. Apparently my line wasn't perfect, which that could make all the difference here. Okay, 28. Here's our 14. Still not going to make a ton of difference on that side. Now if I measure in 6, okay, so I know that's about my 6-inch mark, which means it's 8 inches, so 8 inches this way. Okay, so it's roughly 8 inches off that line. Let's split this in half to 6. Okay, so we get a little more meat over here. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to slim this up a little till it's about 4 1/2. So I'm going to plan on doing about 4 1/2, 5-inch thickness and leave the rest for the other side. The other side doesn't quite have enough meat, so adding 1 inch will help. So this is how thick the legs are going to be for the bench. So it's going to be 6 inches off the corner is all the material we have to work with. And it is starting to rain, so hopefully we can do this video. Ugh. All right, this is where the seat's going to be, our center line. Okay guys, that's our seat. Now if we look at it properly here, this will be the bottom of one side and this is the top of the other side. Okay, now normally a chair I believe has like a 3-degree pitch. I don't know, you guys, I eyeball it. All right, I know it's probably not right, some people are gonna hate that, but I just eyeball it and I know that like this is roughly how I want it to go. So this is my 6-inch line. 6 inches was here. Here's my center, and I'm going like that. Okay, that's what I'm doing. There will be we'll be like trimming it up later, but that's where it's got to go for now. All right, so top, bottom. That makes down here a top, and that makes this side a bottom. Yeah, I can't fit it, but anyway, hopefully you guys get it. So a top is narrow, a bottom is wide. This whole section is basically the bottom. This whole section will basically be the bottom. So let's bring this all the way. Well, we got to measure our 6 inches. Figure our 6 inches over here. Okay, and bring that up to our center line. Hopefully this is making some kind of sense to anybody out there. Just anybody. Yeah, maybe. Okay. Anyway, now we need some meat, right, to be able to put our backrest on in our seat. Okay. I know it doesn't look like much right now, but it's gonna make sense here in a minute. Hopefully, if I do it right. So, 6 inches is the mark. I guess I shouldn't have drawn that line. It's probably gonna goof you all up. Sorry. 6 inches is our mark. Okay guys, this ends up being the cut line right here. Down, over, down. This is what we're gonna cut. Hopefully everybody sees that. We're gonna come down, L, down. All right, you with me? Let's hope so. All right guys, so we drew this in with 6 inches, right? And I was getting ready, I was gonna cut it, and I was thinking, the last log I did was 6 inches and it worked out great. Okay, this log, So this would be our seating area, believe it or not. This is going to be the seating area. And right there you're looking at 12 inches. I don't need a full 12 inches there. So I think we're going to plan for 10 inches. This is kind of like mathematical crap that you're doing in your head. This whole idea is only going to work on a really big log, all right? But the concept can work for any size log. Be able to split it, cut it in half, and get 2 halves out of 1 piece, if that makes sense. I don't know. Anyway, let's figure this over to be 10 inches of seating. So we have 12, but what do we have? We have 12. So we need to split the difference, which means each side can gain an inch. So we could bring this over an inch to 7 instead of 6. All right, so I'm gonna eyeball my 7-inch mark. I'm gonna eyeball a 7-inch mark. That's gonna give us more meat for the backrest, okay? So I'll throw this up real quick. Pretty close to 10. I'm gonna save my lines when I make my cut, and if I gotta trim them later, it's easier to trim. When I get near the bottom, I'm kind of just burping the saw, taking my time so I don't cut right through the wood and sawdust, hit dirt and rock. You don't want to do that. So, okay, we got 2 pieces. All right. Now, if you guys wanted to make a bench with bears, you could, carve a little bear here or something like that, but that's not what we're doing in this video, okay? So, earlier I said you could use the other half for bears. You can, but you can't. So if you notice, it rounds this way, okay? How are we gonna get 2 benches out of this? Easy, we're gonna split this in half. What that means is we have a corner and a corner though. We'll have a nice square and a nice square and 2 corners. If you do this to the other one, you'll have the corners for the other side, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So you could, pair them up for the other 2 benches. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and split these right down the middle, and then we'll get into squaring them up and making the cuts for the seats and things like that. In these cuts, what I'll do is measure in, okay, on the bottom here. We're gonna go in about 5, which that line is there. We're gonna go in about 5, kind of bring it up and over. Now I got a general idea, okay? You guys can do your 5 inches down here, just to try and line it up a little. Keep the saw low. Try to give yourself a straight line. Then we'll start working the saw down in. And guys, you can deal with kickback. You could potentially hurt yourself. Make sure you're being safe, being cautious, and this isn't for everybody to do. So be familiar with your tools. Guys, we're done with big cuts for the most part. Now it's going to be all small cuts. All right, what I'm going to do is take the rounded pieces and set those aside. The measurements going forward for the backrest and the seat are based upon the wood that I am using. So I will be measuring and cutting to fit the boards that I have that I'm using. So if you're using 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 1 3/4 slab or boards, you're going to need to measure the cuts we're going to make next, to accommodate the wood you're going to use. Now I have 2-inch thick rough cut slabs. Those are what I'm going to use for my seat and my backrest. First thing I want to be able to do here is bring these logs together, these two chunks, so that I can start making those notched cuts so that they are identical on both sides. Remember, these will not match exactly. One was from the top, one was from the bottom. Okay, they should be close though, but they won't be exact. So what I like to do is grab a clamp them together. Normally I clamp them low at first, one low, one high. The only thing, I'll admit, the only thing I try to line up actually first is the back, the natural edge. Try to get it close. The top, try to get the tops close. So, I think what I'm going to do first is we'll cut this so it's even. We'll cut the top so the top's even. Okay, now by doing this we'll make one cut and everything will be the same. Two bench sides that are pretty much the same. They're not going to be exact. Well, I mean, they could be if you're super anal about it and you want to take more time and, you know, get them perfect. But then what's the point of chainsaw carving? You might as well just go buy dimensional lumber, right? So, anyway, here this is. Now, how do we go about with our bench seat? So you got to go get your board for that and get it up here and start doing some measurements. Alright guys, so I've got my board, my live edge slab that's going to be the seat to the bench. I'm actually going to spin it here. This is a bit wider than what I want. It's going to end up getting trimmed down to like maybe 14, 15 inches. Right now it's close to like 22 right here, which isn't a big deal. But the only thing is like, it's just extra cuts you got to make. So now you want a pencil, like a carpenter pencil though. Push the back of this down so it sits flush. Take your pencil, hold it flat, make a cut. Now keep in mind, it's going to be a little bit higher than the board due to the thickness of the pencil. But that is where you need to cut, so this will slip in place. So we'll set this aside. Keep these clamped together too. You want to make that cut, make it so everything stays level. The next thing is we're going to want to go in about, this is pretty wide, so I'm going to go in roughly maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see there's like a square there. We're going to make a cut all the way across and remove all the material in here. Alright guys, so our first notch for the bench is done. Now you could have laid them flat and just did it, but you know, whatever. Hey guys, at this point I like to think the hard part's over. Let's get rid of these clamps, we don't need them anymore. Now I know this is way too wide, I'm going to spin this around and we're going to trim it real quick with the chainsaw. I'll show you how to do that. Alright, got my tape measure. I want to go about roughly 13, 14 inches. So I'm just eyeballing it. About 14. I'm going to make some marks. Okay. You guys can get out a square or a level. Make these things perfect if you want. I'm not gonna. It's chainsaw carving. I'm just not. I'm gonna hit it with a red so I can see what the heck I'm doing though. Cannot see those pencil marks at all. Alright, you might be seeing the cinder block here. What is this for? Cinder block's gonna keep this off the ground so you can cut. It's gonna hold your bench together. Make sure your saw is sharp, which it should have been before you even started. And as of right now, I haven't resharpened anything, and I've made 4 benches today, so we'll see how this goes. When doing that, I want you guys to keep in mind that your feet and legs are right there, okay? So make sure you have a clear path for walking. You don't want to trip and chop your leg. That'd be a bad day. Or chop your feet. So don't go too far with your cinder block. You'll need it in just a minute. So spin this over. See if everything, how good our first cuts were. Alright, so I got cleanup to do. You probably will as well. It won't go in, right? There's probably up on the bottom part of this here, you probably need to go in and clean it up with the chainsaw nice and easy. So you can use your dime tip bar or a small saw and just clean that up real quick. Alright guys, so I got my seat in there. It's a little rocky because the ground is uneven for me, but hopefully yours is even. What you want to do is move those legs so everything lines up good. Get yourself roughly the same distance on each side, okay? That's what you want to start with. You guys can always measure that out and make these, you know, exact. Obviously, that's totally up to you. So, grab a pencil. And where your log overlaps the seat, you need to make some lines. Mark it in. Go in only like an inch. You don't need to go the whole girth of this, you know. I cut in 2 inches, so I'm only going to go in about 1 inch. And all I'm doing is a line on each side so I can see it. Alright. Those are done. Let's pop this out. Spin it around. Try not to lose your whole bench like mine is. Put your cinder block on. Now you should have your lines for each side. I'm going to go in roughly halfway through that rivet. It's about how deep I'll go. It gives me about 1 inch roughly. So we're going to just follow the line straight down, and then we'll come in this way and cut it out. We'll do the same down here. Straight down. We'll come in this way, cut it out. See how we did. Give it a spin. Now you guys could get those notches close and then use a hammer and a chisel or a handsaw if you really want to get into it and get these to be a much tighter fit. But keep in mind, if the wood is green and you make a real tight fit, it's going to shrink and you might start cracking, or pieces might break off, or it won't be able to come apart. Because remember, the goal of this bench is so you can take it to a craft fair, bring it to the store, wherever you're going to sell it, and your customer can show up in a car and you can break this whole thing down and fit it in their trunk. So, you know, 3 to 4 feet will probably fit in most trunks. If not, they can fold the seat down, put it in the back. That's why we're doing these notches, and we're not just cutting the board and screwing everything together. This way, everything will be tied together, and then the customer can put the screws in themselves, okay? So let's keep going. What I want to do though is get up here on the top. I made a mistake. I did. Hopefully watch the video through before you get started, because we got to bring those clamps back. Sorry. Alright guys, so the fact is I forgot to cut the top notch for the backboard. Okay, I forgot all about it. Normally I cut it at the same time as this one, and we forgot, so I got it reclamped, and what we need to do is prepare to cut up here. Now I know the boards I'm using are all the same, so I'm going to use this one as a template. Grab my pencil, make some lines. Okay. Now, when you make this cut, you gotta angle it in. This cut's gotta be angled. Okay, and it's gotta stay the same thickness for that angle. It's a little tricky. Takes a little bit of practice. I'm sure you guys will be able to do it though. You'll be alright. You've been carving for a little while. Take that scrap, see if that's going to fit. Looks good. Back in place. This is going to be my back piece, which we got to trim down. Okay, it's like way too heavy, way too tall. Not a big deal. We got to trim it though. So we're going to trim it to be the same length. Okay. Next thing I want to trim is the live edge part. We're going to make a straight line cut all the way down. So right now, looking at it, this is pretty tall, right? Now you can go ahead and cut your notches in a little bit farther down if you want. That's fine. What I'm going to do is actually trim this piece a little shorter, and I'm going to make my notches here a little bit deeper. So get that lined up. I'm going to measure my notches over here. Make your marks. I'm going to start by doing probably a 2-inch cut up. Probably just 2 inches up, and we'll refit it and see how it looks. Done. Okay. It's rocking because the ground's uneven, but that's it, guys. Simple. It's done. That's the basic cuts to put this thing together. Now the rest of the work involved is completely up to you guys. You want to round your corners. You're going to cut this short. I'm going to cut this short on mine so there's less here. But that's it. The bench is together. As you can see, no nails, no screws, no glue. Is it rocky? Yep. Is it super stable at the moment? No. But a customer could come to a craft fair and see this it didn't take up the whole space of your truck, it could lay flat on the bottom, they can take it home. You have to give an explanation though and tell them, all right guys, you got to put some screws in this way, or screws from the back, or screw this down when you get it home, okay? But it's up to you to sand this down, to do maybe an artistic scene here, and to put a finish on it so your customer has finished parts ready to go. All right, I'm just showing you guys the basic cuts. Hopefully in the next video we'll be working on doing a nice scene right here, and I'll bring this whole bench to completion and you guys will be able to see the final product. But this is going to be it for this video. Just a tutorial on making cuts, making a bench that'll stand on its own, a bench that you can display and that a customer can just take apart, put in their car, go home. As long as they have the capabilities of screwing it back together, you're done. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. If you guys don't already, I've got all kinds of tutorials on here. I'll put that link to that tutorial thing section, right? Section here at the end of the video. And you guys can go there and see what else I've got available to help you learn to carve. Also, if you guys want to help me, you guys can check out my Teespring account, alright? You can go there, buy a t-shirt, coffee cup, sticker. Those purchases help support me and the channel and the stuff that I'm creating to help you. You can also go to my Etsy account. Etsy is a store for me. It's where I put finished product. I've got older pieces, newer pieces, sometimes stuff that I goofed up on and I put it on there, and you know what? It looks like junk to me, but people love it, and that should inspire you to always just finish a piece, because someone will enjoy it and somebody always loves it. So you guys can purchase pieces there as well. Along with all that wonderful stuff, there's social media links. Go there, check it out. Follow me on Instagram. I thank you guys for watching. Oh my gosh, long-winded today. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully we'll be wrapping this bench up, doing something cool up here, and making a really nice finished piece. So hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, enjoy your weekend, and I will see you guys next time.